Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel, and today's video is going to be another currently reading video. The book that I am currently reading is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is an adult fiction mystery murder novel. And I have quite a bit to say about it considering I'm like almost done with it. So by the time you see this video, I'll be done with it, but it's fine because this time I'm in the middle of the book while I'm filming this video and not finished with the book when I'm filming this video. So let's just get into it. Essentially, if you don't know what The Secret History by Donna Tartt is, it follows Richard, who is this master's student in the classics. He kind of fought his way to get into this position, which in this class, in this major essentially, which is only taking really like 6 students every single like master's degree, and he gets in to be the 7th student, I believe, or the 6th student, one of the two. And these students eventually become very focused on Greek mythology and the Greek rituals. If you don't know what a classist is, they study kind of ancient literature, so like the Greeks primarily, but I think you can also go into like the Romans, the Egyptians, but primarily they study the Greeks. They start getting obsessed with all of these things and try to perform a Greek ritual, which later then turns into a death, which harbors more death. Essentially, what this story in best summary that I can come up with is that it's the Raven cycle meets graduate school, meets meets ancient Greek culture, meets a very white version of how to get away with murder. That's really all I can say because that's basically what this story is. So let's get into the kind of things that I am thinking about as I am reading this book. Essentially, my thoughts as I'm currently reading this book is that I love the character dynamics. I think the characters, albeit they're very rich and very white, they're all and very hetero, but I'll get into that later. I enjoy their dynamic. I think it's very not fun, but it's nice to see all of them, since Richard himself is a pretty boring character. He's our main POV, but he's like what I would imagine a mop to be. You dip it in water, and if you don't like squeeze it out and like use it properly, it just kind of sits there. He's a bystander. He doesn't have very many emotions, so there's that. But I'm in love with everyone else. I think Camilla, who is the lone girl in this group, is absolutely wonderful, and I want the best for her. Charles is something else after reading a certain part of the book that I am no longer talking about. Francis, who is like our only, I can't say because that's a spoiler too, but he's a very high-strung character, which, you know, same. And then we have Bunny, who is the asshole of assholes, and I'm not surprised by where his character goes, because I saw it coming from the minute he and Richard went into a restaurant and was like, started dropping like the F word, like the homophobic slur for gay people up everywhere like it was nothing, and just treated people like absolute shit, and I hated it. Like, I was very happy when his character went there, but also I wasn't surprised when the thing that happened actually happened, because I feel like it had been building up for the past few times, and it wasn't like a surprise when we cut through the next few weeks and like we find out that someone is dead, because I was really waiting for it, and I was really hoping that that character was going to be the one that died. So yeah. The prose is absolutely gorgeous. I love reading how descriptive Richard can get, and like his very intense character studies on everyone. Though I will say that I was expecting Julian, the professor of kind of literally all of their classes, because he likes it when students only have one teacher essentially, and like they teach everything. So I was hoping he would be a bigger part of the story, because that felt like he would have been a larger part, but he wasn't. And I'm very upset by that, because he seems like, if you look at his character, I feel like he'd be the kind of person to push students into doing a Greek ritual that like basically essentially means that they get super like on drugs, they get super drunk, and it's like a lot of sexual rituals. I can't pronounce it, but it's like the Dionysus ritual or something like that. I'll leave it on the screen because I can't pronounce like the actual word for it, because that's not new. My biggest problem with this book is that I'm almost done, and Richard isn't that interesting of a character. His point of view is great. He's a very bystander character, but because of that, there are no emotions. All he is in a constant state of confusion. So it doesn't help that I am always in a constant state of confusion. So to read about a character who is always confused, I don't know what's going on, they don't know what's going on, and I'm just sitting here like, but what really happened, homie? And he's like, well, you know, I wish I could tell you, reader, but I don't know. So it would have been really nice to have had either a multiple perspective. I would have liked to have seen Henry's perspective because he seems like a bit of a mastermind and I enjoy his complexity, but we don't see it because Richard is very much like, I report literally what I see. I don't explain any of my actual feelings or my actual thoughts. I just tell you like how I see it, and that is it. And I'm sitting here like, but the thing is, you taught yourself half the things to get into this class. It was a very prestigious class. And you're telling me that you don't have the observational skills to come up with assumptions? I don't know, bud. Kind of sketchy. I'm also not a fan of some of the plot twists. Spoiler alert, I'm going to throw that up there right now. One character is very subtly gay, and while I was very excited, and I did low-key kind of see it coming, I feel like throwing it toward like the last like 20% of the book was very throwaway-y. It was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to throw out this character as gay, just so we don't have to really explain or dive into it or see more of said character throughout the beginnings of the book. Which is like, I don't know about you, just have everyone be straight. I don't need the throwaway gay person in the book to be like, oh yeah, I like dudes. We don't need it. I would have preferred it be entirely straight if that was the case, because it just felt very much like we need some kind of diversity in here. But it's like the last 20%, so the writer didn't have to do much footwork to really like build up their sexuality and like really develop that. As well as like the incest portion of this book, again, like it threw me off guard because I wasn't expecting it, but not in a good way. I don't know, I'm just tired of like incest in books. Like Cassandra Clare is probably the farthest I will ever get to shipping a similar incest because they weren't actually related, but like, I don't know, I don't get it with like white writers who have to like throw incest in there as a weird kind of plot twist. Like, I'm sorry, did your European ancestor come out a little too strongly while you were writing this book and you just had to throw it in there? And it also implies some form of sexual assault with it, so I'm just like, this was unnecessary and added absolutely nothing to the overall plot of the book. Maybe if you had been like building up to it in the book, but like one of the characters had made a mention of it, kind of like a throwaway line in part of the book, and then nothing, because that character inevitably passed away, and then they brought it up toward the end, and I'm just like, but why? There was no point in bringing it up, especially at the insinuation that one of the people involved in this relationship was being sexually abused. So I was just like, if you're not going to build it up or actually use it to add some depth to the character, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about incest or anyone's sexuality if you're just going to drop it in the last few minutes. It's just not my cup of tea, and I'd rather you focus a lot of the work and the plot to move toward like something else. But other than that, I think the prose is great. I can see why everyone adores this book, and I really want to finish it tonight to see kind of what happened, because like it's starting to get really good and I'm like, I can't put it down, but I have other responsibilities to do tonight, so I'm really hoping to finish it. But I will update you guys on my thoughts when my Goodreads review comes out, as well as my wrap-up at the end of the month, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, that's all my thoughts as I'm currently reading it. You know, better main character, because he's very much like Wet Mob. He's either I'm pretty sure the entire story can move forward without Richard having to be like, oh, that happened? I didn't know. Like, of course you didn't know, because I didn't know, which means you didn't know, because I am reading from your perspective. As well as like some of the weird little plot twists that I felt like were very, very unnecessary. Like, if your European ancestor is popping out and telling you to put incest in a book, probably should not listen to it unless your book pertains to incest. I'm just saying, because it's not worth it, man. Same thing with sexuality. If you're not going to build up to like proper sexuality, I don't know what that term is. If you're not gonna properly build up someone's sexuality and like make it an integral part of like the story or like about the character, don't pop it in there. There's just no point, and it feels like, especially toward the end of the book, it just feels like you're just throwing it in there just to be like, we diverse. But that is it for my thoughts on The Secret History by Donna Tartt, or at least my current thoughts. I'm sure this will evolve as I read more reviews when I'm done with the book, as well as write my own. But if for some reason I somehow write my review as soon as I finish this book, I will leave that link down below. But if not, all my social media links will be down there, as well as the comments. So if you guys have read this book or want to read this book or would like to hear more of my thoughts, leave me a comment or contact me on any social media. But until then, I will see you guys everywhere else. Bye!